So, welcome back. Before we continue with the crew at their stations, we'll look at the work that the flight engineer does in the meantime. On this side, you see the pre-start items 1 to 13 and directly below that the takeoff data. So we'll consult the airport weather and we see here the current conditions. The wind 200 with 13, it's a bit gusty, a bit variable, broken clouds 2500, 17 degrees, QNH 1003 and runway 24 is in use. Also, we'll check here the load sheet. We see the passenger layout, we see where the cargo is and the fuel. We can adjust that here if you want. So today the aircraft weighs 40 tons and we have a mean aerodynamic accord of 30%. Now if we go to the table here, we can calculate the takeoff data. So we go into 40 tons and let's round up to 20 degrees centigrade. Time to 90 knots of 22, a V1 of 111 and a V2 of 118 with flaps 10. We need to look at the correction factors. So the time to 90 seconds corrected for the headwind. Here's the table for the wind. So runway is 24, the wind was 200 with 12. So if we go here 12, 40 degrees off, we see we have a headwind component of 10, a crosswind component of 7. We can see here a wind component of 10 will give us a correction of -1 second. The slope, there's no slope here. The standard pressure height, we can look here at QNH 1003. That gives us a field elevation of roughly 400 feet. And the elevation is 20 feet, so for 20, let's round it up to 1 second. So -1 second plus 1 second, so the time to 90 knots remains 22 seconds. V1 correction, those are not applicable today, and the V2 remains the same as well. On the other side, we can see here the mean aerodynamic accord 30 gives us a trim of 5 degrees nose up. Crew papers and aircraft log checked. The right pilot checks that the documents are on board, the weather report, flight plan, NOTAMs and the latest news, and also the route manuals, and all check that they have their licenses, passports and certificates. The pilot in command checks the briefing card and the hold item list before modification, and that there's no remaining remarks on the maintenance log. Fuel and hydraulic quantities checked. So we'll check the fuel. You need to operate the test buttons. So you make sure that the indicators can read 0 and that they're properly calibrated. Hydraulic, check the quantity indicators in the cockpits, that the blue and green quantities are within the normal flight range. So blue is in the normal flight range and green is a little bit overfilled, that's okay. Check that the level in the red tank is above the minimum required for takeoff. It's 14, that's fine. Oxygen checked and set. So all stations will check their oxygen. They will do a mask test, check that the cylinder pressure remains stable, put the lever on oxygen 100%. And also you need to put on the mask, check if it fits and if the blinker is working. Brake chute checked. Check that the brake chute handle is wired, safety wired, fully forward position and that the release button is protruding. Fuel pumps checked and set. Place the fuel pump switches AUX 2 in position on and check the fuel. So AUX 2 on, and we'll check the fuel, then place the switches in off. Place the fuel pump switches AUX 1 in on and check the pressure. Place the switches in normal. Place the fuel pump main 1 in on, check the pressure. Put the switches off. Place the switches main 2 in on. Check the pressure, and now we also put main 1 in on. Heading and nav aids. Okay, the heading will be normally the runway heading. So that's 241 plus the wind correction, so 3 degrees to the left. And we have here a synchronize hotspot or click spot to synchronize the co-pilot heading. And navigate. Okay, so we have here, we're going to use the opposite ILS for departure tracking. So we set the ILS 06, which is 11.1. And we'll set 241 course. On this side we can do the same. And we can set the flight director mode to blue left. Also we have an NDB 394. And it's already set 394 in ADF. Radio altimeters checked and set. You can press the test button. It should indicate 100 feet. Then we set 400, which is the minimum altitude to perform any actions after takeoff. Nav warning checked and set. Check the navigation master warning system and pull the lock and 4 and the glide slope caps on both annunciator panels. The remaining caps shall normally be left in the armed position. Test. Flashing nav light and test. Same, and we'll pull for lock and glide slope. SO items completed. So the second officer reports that he has completed his items on the before first of the takeoff and pre-start checklists. Now we check that the parking brake is set and the parking brake light is on. And also we check the red brake pressure indicator. Altimeters, QNH is 1003. And we expect to see 20 feet. Cross-checked. So now we can only continue after the doors are closed. So in the meantime, the cabin will report boarding is complete, the load sheet will be on board, and then we call doors may be closed. So close the cockpit door. And here on the load sheet we can press the buttons to remove the stairs. And the doors will be closed, and we can also use the keyboard shortcuts like Control 1 on mine to close the aft stairs and the door. And the cargo holds. I'm using the keyboard shortcut again, but if you want you can also use the click spots here on the load sheet. Okay, belly door warnings out. Let's move the camera a little bit. Startup clearance received. The right pilot will ask clearance to start the engines on the appropriate frequencies. Anti-collision light on. That's on. And let's open the window so we can talk with our ground engineer on a special request. I've improved the animation. And that's the pre-start checklist complete.